Hi friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing Neri's Knitting Podcast number 3 and I'm so excited to show you everything I have for this month. So you may notice I'm wearing my latest finished object. I think I'm always just going to wear my finished object as soon as I wash and block them, but today I am wearing the Sookie Cardigan by woozybyceline. I actually knitted this cardigan as a test knit, my very first one, and it was honestly a very fun, enjoyable experience. I will say the only thing that I struggled with was having a deadline, which is good and bad because it motivates you to obviously finish the project by the deadline, but I did feel a tiny bit rushed during the process just because I really wanted to meet her deadline and make sure that I could be a good test knitter. And there was some flexibility with the deadline, but just knowing myself, I don't like to be late or feel like I'm falling behind. So I did feel definitely a sense of urgency to get it finished. So this cardigan, I'll show how it looks like when I'm standing up. This is a drop shoulder cardigan, which I haven't ever done before. I haven't knitted anything drop shoulder. I've always been used to raglan construction. So this is my first drop shoulder construction. It also has a folded neckline and a double knit button band, which the double knit button band was new to me and a little bit tricky for me to master, but I'm really happy that I learned and was able to do it. I think it provides such a neat finish, and I'm all about, I guess, making your garments look as tidy as possible. I do still need to weave in the ends. I was just very excited to wear it and show it to you guys, but I do need to weave in the ends. And then these are the buttons that I ended up picking out. I do wish they were a touch closer to the color of the sweater, which I believe it's by Cascade. It's Cascade Cantata, and we'll talk a little bit more about the yarn in a little bit, but I wanted it to be like the perfect lilac match. So this is like a lavender that's a little bit pinkish undertoned, and all of the buttons at the fabric store were lavender purple with a blue undertone, so it was very hard to find an exact match. I almost did tortoiseshell buttons, but then I put up like a TikTok post and an Instagram post asking you guys which buttons I should go with, and ultimately I think it was like 75% to 25%. Everyone said to do tone on tone and go with the purple buttons, so that's what I went with, and I'm really happy with that decision. So thanks so much for your feedback. I couldn't have done it without you. I'm so indecisive. I really do love the tone on tone kind of matching buttons for cardigans. I think it looks really nice. I think I'll only stick to tortoiseshell buttons when I'm doing cream or more neutral colored sweaters. I know in my last podcast, I was debating between doing this lilac color or doing a deep green cardigan. I'm really happy I picked lilac for spring. I think it looks really fun and I think it suits my skin tone. I really want to do a color analysis so I know exactly what colors to use when I'm knitting, because I'm a bit indecisive, as I mentioned. But I think I am really happy with this lilac color. What else do I want to say about the sweater? I used 5 skeins of Cascade Cantata, which I think is $10 or $11 a skein. So this sweater was like $55 US, I think. So, or 50 to 55 US. So I think that's like a really great price for a 100% natural fiber sweater. You know, spending $100 on a sweater quantity's worth of yarn is a fun little splurge, but being able to have a fully finished object for $50 to $55 is kind of amazing to me, not including the labor efforts. But yeah, this yarn is such a good find. I think it's a mix between merino wool, I believe, and cotton. So it's a cotton chainette construction with merino wool fibers blown through it. And I think it's such a good yarn. I don't hear enough people talk about it. I think it's not one of the like popular ones like Cascade 220. So I kind of found it while I was just searching for yarns, Aran weight yarns for this test knit, but I'm so obsessed with it because it's not itchy at all. It's so comfortable to wear close to skin, which I think with natural fibers can be a little bit tricky unless you're doing 100% cotton. I personally don't like the feel of 100% cotton when I'm knitting it. I'm fine wearing it, but when I'm knitting it, it almost like squeaks, and I don't find that enjoyable. But this yarn doesn't squeak at all because it is a cotton wool blend, and I'm so happy with it. And I think I do want to pick it up in another color so I can make another sweater, probably not a cardigan. I need to take a break from cardigans. Yeah, another sweater just because it's so soft to touch and does not irritate my skin whatsoever. The only thing I will say about this yarn is because it's a chainette blown tube construction, the chainette / blown tube is white. And then I believe the colors that they blow through are where the color comes from for the yarn. So if you don't like the look of like kind of seeing white heathering throughout your piece, you may not want to get this yarn. But I really like it and I am excited to use it again. That's actually my only finished object for this month. So next we can talk about my yarn acquisition. So I bought enough yarn for 2 additional sweaters. I'll talk about the one that I'm most excited about first. I got the Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo yarn. This is what it looks like. I'm sure if you're on like knitting Instagram, knitting TikTok, or Ravelry, this is very familiar to you. It is in the color S1, which was so hard to find. I think I checked like 10 online yarn stores, and while they carried this yarn, they did not carry this specific shade, which is what Petite Knit, I believe, used in her sample for the Terrazzo sweater. And a lot of people also use this for their Terrazzo sweater, and I think it just looks so beautiful when it's knit up and held with a strand of mohair or a fuzzy yarn. It just makes the most beautiful halo effect, and then it mutes down some of the rainbow colors and just makes them blend so well together. It literally looks so beautiful, and when I saw it, I was like, I have to have it. So I searched and searched and searched. I actually ended up getting it from a local yarn store, not like local to me, but local to, so it's not local. I got it from a yarn store in Arkansas. I don't live in Arkansas, but they had, I think, like 4 or 5 of these left. So I snatched them up and I'm so happy to have it. It's so cute. And I actually started knitting with it already. Let me show you the yarn that I'm holding it with. I'm holding it with Fyberspates Cumulus yarn, which is a 74% baby Surrey alpaca and a 26% mulberry silk. I have only tried a couple mohairs and I find them quite itchy on my skin. I don't know if I'm really that sensitive to mohair or if I just don't like the feel of it. So I wanted to look for an alternative. This was recommended by a lot of people, so I wanted to give it a try. So this yarn is a little bit thicker than the one recommended in the pattern. This one is 150 meters for 25 grams, and I believe the mohair in the pattern, the Terrazzo sweater pattern, is like 200 something, like maybe 220 meters per 25 grams, so it is a little bit thicker. I thought that because it was a little bit thicker, I would need to size up to a size 5.5 millimeter needle when making the Terrazzo sweater. But once I tried the 5.5 needle, I thought the fabric looked quite loose. So I went to the original size, which is 5 millimeters, and I like the look of that fabric a lot more. Oh, I want to talk about the fiber content of the Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo. It is 40% wool, 25% silk, 10% mohair, and 25% polyamide. So there is a little bit of mohair in this, but it doesn't seem to bother me at all. Of course, I won't know until I actually knit the sweater, wash it, and wear it, but usually just holding it up against my neck is a good indicator for me whether something will bother me or not. So I think this should be okay. I'm so excited about it because it literally is just so beautiful. Okay, so this is what I've knitted up so far for the Terrazzo sweater. I'm still doing the raglan increases. This is what it looks like. It's so beautiful. Like the yarn is just, the variation is so interesting, and to me this is still kind of neutral. Like I will wear this with jeans and feel like I'm not, my sweater is not too loud, but it's just so unique and I'm obsessed. I'm also really enjoying the construction of this sweater. There is a saddle kind of where your neck joins your shoulder right here first, and then you expand using raglan increases. So this is the saddle I'm talking about, kind of that rectangle right here. I'm not doing the best job of showing it. Okay, that's better. So there's a saddle right here, and then it increases, and I think that construction is so unique, and I've never done that before. Some petite knit patterns do have a lot of similarity or overlap, but others are super unique, and I think she varies up the construction methods among her patterns really well. So I'm so happy to kind of learn a new one and try a new one. And I've been enjoying it so far. I will say the only thing I struggled with was make one left, make one right on the purl side. I guess I just wasn't familiar with that. I'm used to doing kind of make one left, make one right on the right side, and then just purling across and not doing increases when you're on the wrong side. So that took a little bit of getting used to. I had to frog once or twice, but overall, a pretty smooth process so far. I am going on a trip on Saturday, and today is Thursday, so I'm really hopeful that I at least separate the body and the sleeves by the time I go on my trip. That way I can just kind of knit in the round on my flight and get a lot more done, because I really do want to wear this on my trip. I love the yarn so much. I also think that once I finish this ball of yarn, I'm going to go ahead and do the turtleneck part, just because I like having the sweater finished top down. Like, I don't like waiting till the very end to do the collar, if that makes sense. I want to see it finished top down. So I'm going to probably pick up stitches for the collar and do the turtleneck collar as soon as I finish this ball of yarn, because I don't want to cut it. But let me know if you guys feel similar, if you like to kind of weave in ends as you go and finish as much as you can while you're knitting, rather than waiting to do everything at the very end. Okay, so that's all I have so far for my Terrazzo sweater. I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait to finish it and wear it. Hopefully I can wear it on my trip. So the next yarn that I got was from Drops. I got a sweater quantities worth of Drops Flora and Drops brushed alpaca silk. This is a combo. So the Drops Flora is like a heavy fingering weight yarn. It's 65% wool, 35% alpaca, and it's super soft. I'm really impressed with it so far, and it knits up really nicely when held together. The brushed alpaca silk is alpaca and mulberry silk. As you know, I'm not really enjoying mohair right now. I don't know if I just haven't tried the right mohair, or I don't like mohair in general. So I'm trying kind of brush alpaca silks instead as an alternative, and I think I like it a lot better. Again, we won't know till I knit up the sweater and wear it, but so far it's not giving me any issues when I kind of test it against my skin. I got them both in like the natural or the cream color, just because I did this purple sweater, and now I want to go back to neutrals. Originally, I had bought this yarn for the Petite Knit balloon cardigan, which is just a raglan cardigan that has nice, beautiful balloon sleeves. But after I bought it for that, I thought maybe I want to use this yarn for something else. Some yarns, you just end up kind of switching projects for it like 3 or 4 times before you settle on what you actually are going to make and finish. And I think this is one of the yarns, because I've already changed projects 3 times. So after I finished this cardigan, I thought, I don't want to do another cardigan. I don't want to keep knitting on the wrong side and purling. I just want to knit in the round. So I thought, okay, let me make just a sweater, a crew neck sweater instead. So I decided to do sweater number 14, which I already owned the pattern for, and I wouldn't have to buy another pattern. So I did I started sweater number 14 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and for that one, you had to hold the brushed alpaca silk double and the Drops Flora single for 3 strands. And I started knitting it, and I thought, I cannot hold 3 strands this whole time. Like, this is too finicky. This does not make for a travel-friendly project. Also, if I was gonna hold 3 strands at the same time, I would want one of these to be a different color to get like a heathered effect. Like, why am I holding 3 strands of the exact same color when I could just use 1 or 2 strands of that same color and get the exact same sweater effect? Does that make sense? It just seemed like a waste of holding 3 strands. So after I realized that, I scratched sweater number 14. I still want to make it at some point, just not with this yarn color. So then I thought, I really like drop shoulder construction, and I want to make another drop shoulder sweater. So I moved on to the Sonia sweater by Petite Knit, which is a drop shoulder crew neck sweater. So I started that, but I didn't get very far. I only did like literally 6 rows of it. So I think a part of me knew that maybe I would change my mind again. So I have not since worked on it since I did my 6 rows. I think I'm gonna keep searching for the perfect kind of Aran weight sweater. I just want to make sure that I'm, really happy with my decision before continuing. So I'm going to work on my Terrazzo sweater, which I know I'll love, while I decide what to do with this yarn combination. So if you have any ideas for kind of an Aran weight yarn sweater that you really love, let me know, comment below, because I'm really indecisive, as we know. And I want to make sure I pick kind of the perfect sweater for this yarn combination. I do think it goes so well together, and it does make such a beautiful fabric, but I'm still on the fence of what I want to do. So that's all I have for the yarn quantities. I do want to show you guys one last thing that I got that's not yarn related, but it's yarn adjacent. I bought some fabric from the fabric store. I really want a petite knit project bag. She's not selling them right now. Once she sells them, I will buy them. But I do have a sewing machine, and I have sewn before. Like, I am a proficient sewer. I'm not like a great sewer, but I'm proficient. Like, I've made bags before, and I've made a corset for the Renaissance Fair before. So I know how to sew. I know how to use my sewing machine. So I thought maybe I could, recreate the petite knit project bag myself. And that has not gone super well. Let me show you my attempts. So her project bag, like the one in the picture that I'll show, is quilted. And quilting is a little tricky because once you quilt it, the fabric becomes a little bit thicker, that it becomes very challenging to manipulate with the sewing machine. So I bought this fabric from the fabric store and I quilted it, and I like how it looks quilted, but then I got kind of stuck when I had to actually assemble the bag. So I think I'm just gonna do a regular drawstring bag, no quilting, because the quilting aspect adds a whole nother element, another challenge to the project. With a regular bag, I can just sew the outside fabric and the liner fabric, and then sew them, turn them inside out, and have myself a bag. But when you quilt it, my mind just gets confused on what do I do with the right side? Do I include that with the quilting? I did, but I think that might have been wrong. Maybe I should have just used the batting and the right side, quilted that, and then made a separate liner that didn't include the quilting, if that makes sense. I wasn't using a pattern because I couldn't find one that was exactly what I wanted, so I thought I would draft my own. Obviously that didn't go well, so we're gonna scratch that project for now until I figure it out, or just buy myself a petite knit bag. But this was the base. I thought it looked so nice. Like, I did this first, and when I did this, I was like, wow, like I'm really gonna have myself a quilted bag. But then I just got stuck. Maybe it's one of those things where I just need to continue on and figure it out as I go, but right now, I don't want to deal with the mental energy that requires. So I went back to the fabric store, got more of that fabric. It was 25% off. So I think I'm just gonna make a regular drawstring bag, and I'm buying a pattern for it, or I bought a pattern for it on Etsy. This is the one that I got, and it's just gonna make a simple non-quilted drawstring bag. But let me show you the fabrics I got for it. I got the same blue one. I got a cream liner rather than using a white liner. The white liner I was using, or the lining fabric, was just leftover from a different project. And then I saw that same fabric in pink. So we're just gonna go with a regular drawstring bag and follow someone else's pattern without having to do any math or figuring things out. With sewing, I'm proficient, but I am still very much reliant on patterns. So I'm not gonna draft my own patterns for now and just sew these cute little project bags. I have a lot of projects and I want more project bags. So that will be something that I work on for the next podcast. So that's all I have to share with you all today. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my knitting podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.